Hello, and welcome to the coaching mixer.
Hi.
That's all
Okay.
I got.
You had it. You had a disaster.
I'm a little bit frazzled. I was like, I'm gonna do this week on easy mode. I got like pre-made, like the hot chocolate powder, peppermint hot chocolate powder from
Yes.
Trader Joe's. I was like,
Mhm.
okay, not gonna stress myself out. I was like watching the pan. It's teeny tiny little pan. I was watching it. I think made it too full. And like the second I turned away to wash a dish, it had like overflowed. So
Oh
I had a little
no.
cleanup to do before coming on.
Nothing like a holiday drink disaster.
It's a little appropriate, yes, I think. Also, I just need to talk about how adorable you look
Oh,
because your hair is giving like, I don't know, like 1950s glam. I love
well,
it.
I did wash it and I did curl it a little bit because it was looking crazy before this. I was in
Uh-huh.
writing mode today, so I was like in my sweats, all
Ooh,
cozy, and then an hour before I'm like, oh, we do a video of this podcast. I should not look like I rolled out of bed. I should like just put in the effort because I knew that you would also look incredible if you had
aw,
sweater and your awesome
thank
curls. And yeah,
you.
you have curls I aspire to. So
Thank you. I also washed it. Washed my hair. Most of the time
amazing.
it's just up in a bun, a messy bun. I did put gel in and blew
Looks
it
good.
dry.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So good.
Thank you.
And we are doing, even though I realize I'm like, this episode won't come out until technically after the holidays, but we're still going
Oh,
to
that's
do
so
holiday
true.
beverages. Um, just so you know, so you're not alone on your drink thing. I was like, I am also going to do easy mode because we decided to do non-alcoholic drinks this week. We just needed a break.
Mhm. Yep.
And I was like, I had store-bought eggnog that is really good.
Nice.
It's from this really good dairy in Ontario. And I went and opened my fridge, and I think Steve drank the last of it. I forgot to tell him that I was using it for my call today.
No.
So I am drinking a spiritless cocktail. It is it's a spice seed lip, which is like a herbal,
Ooh.
non-alcoholic kind of liqueur. I don't know how that works. Like,
Wow.
is it a liqueur if
Hmm.
there's no liquor in it? No. It's some spiritless thing. Herbal botanical. I don't know.
Ooh.
And
Sounds
orange
great.
San Pellegrino and some rosemary, which
Ooh.
you can't really see, but it's in there.
It looks delicious and refreshing.
And
And as I mentioned, I'm drinking peppermint hot chocolate that I hope is tasty.
yeah, hopefully it's not burnt.
Ooh, it is
Good.
really good.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Yay.
Cheers.
Cheers. All right. You got a really good suggestion for a topic today that I think maybe we could dive into.
Yes, please. Yeah, I'm gonna just go and read it. It was from a listener. Um, this listener requested that we talk about collaborations, working with other people, especially families or members or friends, benefits, downfalls, warnings, ways to keep it healthy, tips and tricks of things we've learned along the way, setting boundaries, how to keep it amicable, when to work with others and when to go solo, etc. So like all things collaboration.
Nice. Amazing.
Which I think is a fun topic for us because this podcast is
Yeah.
obviously a collaboration, and I think we also both have backgrounds in very collaborative fields. So even though
Mhm.
we're entrepreneurs now, we're our own bosses, we have some experience in that realm.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think collaborations can be so fun, but like to this person's question, like, how do you keep it in the spirit that you started it? And what if it's with somebody who's in your personal life? Like, how do you navigate that? Because I have had some issues with some of that. Maybe less so on the collaboration side, but more on the, my business partner is my husband. I
Mm-hmm.
have my father is a contract worker for our business. He does some of the back end stuff.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
yeah, and I have worked in other work that I've done. I've worked very closely with personal friends, and so when something happens in their business, it can negatively impact the relationship. Um,
Mm.
I've like seen the good and the bad of all of that, and I think it's a little different if you're doing a collaboration with someone versus having them on your team. But I'm happy to share the dirt on that too.
Yes, please. So I guess I'm curious to know, since you've had so many experiences working with people you know and maybe are related to, how do you decide when to collaborate with someone?
I mean, this maybe sounds really silly and simple, but because I've had some maybe more negative experiences that I'll share and hopefully maybe save people from. I think it only really works when it is going to be mutually beneficial. And I think people can hear that and be like, well, of course, why would you do it any other way? But in the past, when I've had, I have another podcast and we've done, I think we're on like episode 340 something.
And that's with your husband.
That's
right?
with my husband. And like I did that solo for a number of years. I brought him into it. He's like in there sometimes. He's really busy. So he does some episodes with me. It is my project, but I've brought people in to do episodes and like invited people in. And there have been times where I've invited someone to come on who doesn't have any platform. They have promoted their work, which is fine. That was way back when. That was like totally fine with me. I was like, yeah, let's talk about what you're up to. But then they kind of expected my community and my marketing effort to like carry the whole thing. And I know some people, got clients or customers from things that I've shared, but it never felt like they didn't even send out an email about it.
Right.
They didn't like even promote it on their own Instagram, like that sort of thing. And for a while, I was like really resentful of that. For like the first couple of years, I was like, I'm doing all of this heavy lifting. People are just swooping in and using my platform to talk about their stuff. Not like it's a huge platform, but like I have some listeners and I have clients, and I try to share things to only share things that I think people would actually benefit from.
Which means that you've built a lot of trust. Like it's easy to just call it a platform, and that in a way that depersonalizes like all of the work that you've put into cultivating relationships with your audience. And you built a lot of trust, and you put a lot of work into doing that.
Thank you, because that is true. And it's funny. I'm like, why wouldn't I say that? Thank you for saying it for me. But I don't take it lightly that people spend, for our podcast, I don't take it lightly that people spend time listening to this. When people talk about it, like it really, when I'm not kidding, when someone says, I loved your show, I'm like, that made my day. It really did make my day.
Genuinely.
Because we are talking into the void. So for years, the first couple of years when that was happening, I felt actually really resentful to some of those people, not all of them. But I realized that it was because I was basically presenting it like, hey, I'm going to do all of this work for you. Like I was inviting people in. I wasn't waiting for people to ask me if they could come on and share something. I wasn't doing the work of saying, hey, this is my like, this community of people who are listening and paying attention. I want to honor them and honor their time. So if you're going to come on and just pitch a program for 45 minutes, like I'm not going to publish that. So you like have to tell me what you're going to do that's going to be for my audience and helpful to them. It was like really me having to have a boundary. And I think that a lot of times people will go into a collaboration and think like, oh, it's just going to be fun and easy, and we're just going to like double our results. But if you're not really specific about who's doing what the expectation is, I think most people are doing, maybe not this podcast, maybe not us, but like most people are doing collaborations to make more money and to expand their brand and to like there is a business point. I think our point is like, I don't know, we're breaking the rules of that.
Little bit. Yeah, we're just like, it'd be fun.
Yeah. Like an athlete doesn't collaborate with Nike on a new pair of shoes, thinking it's not going to give them some visibility and that it's not going to be part of their payday.
Right.
But I think a lot of people come into that assuming that everybody knows that and not making it explicit. And I think that is actually problem number one for me in the past. That was like, I was not clear on what I expected. People didn't have to agree to anything. I didn't kind of stress the delicacy of the delicate nature of what I'm trying to do with my business. And yeah, I got burned. I got burned from it.
Did you have a turning point with that where you realized what was happening and were like, something needs to change?
Yeah. It happened when I had previously referred to someone's program and then found out that they were really, in my opinion, not in integrity. Like there was a big internal blowout that I knew about, and I was like kind of a secondhand witness to. And then someone else had heard about that program from a referral that I had made, took that program, and they were like, hey, this was actually not that great. And I was like, oh my God, I'm never doing something like this again that I wouldn't stand by 3 years later.
Yeah.
I also always tell people that if I told you about something 2 years ago, feel free to email me and say, would you still recommend that? Because unfortunately, businesses change, people change. Sometimes people get big egos and don't deliver in the same way that maybe they used to 3 years ago. So
absolutely.
Yeah, I've become more careful. And when I mean, when it's a collaboration that turns into some kind of a referral, I also follow up with people because I've had clients go work with someone who was on my podcast or who I did a program with or a collaboration with, or I recommended. And I always follow up to say, like, was that an experience you would recommend? Because if it's not, I'll never recommend them again.
This is what I'm talking about when I say that you've built trust with your audience. Like, I don't think this is the norm for folks with podcasts. Maybe it is. Like, I would love it if that were the case, but look at how much I'm just like loving on you a little bit, but like, look at how much care you put into ensuring that the people who you've built trust with, like, are actually taken care of, even when they venture outside of your world. That's pretty remarkable.
Yeah. I mean, thanks for saying it that way. I think that it's really kind of comes down to like the biggest triggering thing for me is feeling disrespected. So I have actually fired vendors and contractors for not taking care of people I've referred to them.
Yeah.
Like I once literally emailed someone, stopped working with them the next month and said, I sent you a very high level referral. It's a personal friend of mine, but it's also a huge business. And you totally dropped the ball after your meeting with them. That is unacceptable to me. That makes me look bad. And to this person who I really do care about and respect. And I stopped working with them.
Wow.
They were okay. Yeah. Like, I mean, maybe if they'd been amazing,
Sure.
I would have said something else, but
yeah. Or if you'd had like a depth of relationship with them, you might have like been like, what's up here? But that, I mean, also that is information for you.
Yeah.
I mean, even if they haven't dropped the ball with you thus far, who knows if they're not handling all of their clients respectfully.
Yeah. I mean, to be totally honest, it felt a little bit sexist. I was just like, oh, you thought that this person I sent you wasn't serious because they're very fun and bubbly, but like they have a multi-million-dollar business and you just lost them as a customer and you lost me.
Wow. Yeah.
I just can't handle that stuff. Like,
no,
mistakes happen, but I think a collaboration is like low-key marriage.
It is. I think so. I mean, I think there are different, like I don't love this word, but it's what's coming to mind. Like I have different standards for different levels of collaborations. Like I think there are kind of low stakes collaborations, which if there's someone that I'm really interested in working with, I might test things out a little bit with a low stakes collaboration and see how it goes. And then suggest the, engagement, so to speak, of the long-term partnership after seeing how we work together. But I do think one caution I would offer around collaboration, I think there can be an idea that collaborations are less work than solo work. And in some ways, I think I thrive on collaboration personally. It helps me a lot in certain ways. I just get a lot of energy from it. I love the exchange of ideas, and I'm much more motivated to like put stuff out there when I'm working with another person.
Yes.
So some things are easier for me, but the cost of that is building the skill of very open communication and aligning your expectations up front. And if you don't do that, it can get really messy. And that's an ongoing practice as well that requires some like check-ins along the way.
Yeah, that's like so well said. And I think every relationship would be better if perhaps people entertained that as a standard. I think it's an important standard. Yeah, I think it's tricky too for service-based business owners because we are we are in the business of taking care of other people. So it may feel like you want to overextend yourself on the group project. But that, for me at least, has like led to resentment when I'm sitting there marketing someone else's program for them for free when my clients pay me to help them do that in their businesses. Doesn't feel great. What about you? Have you had like experiences collaborating in this business that wisdom from?
In this business, not so. Have I? Not so much. I mean, honestly, I think this is my first real collaboration as a coach. Yay. Not that I've worked on projects with other coaches, but working as a contractor, I don't necessarily, it is a collaboration of sorts, but maybe I draw a distinction when I'm like the one devising the collaboration, or it's like a very equal collaboration versus when I'm being hired for something that feels different to me. But yeah, I have so like we could talk about, I think it'd be interesting to talk about this collaboration as like an example. And also I have a lot of experience in collaborations from my days in the theater, where I have had really successful and fruitful and supportive collaborations. I've had collaborations that were just like kind of wonky from the start. I've had collaborations that were, started out amazing. It was almost like the new relationship energy type of collaboration, which like burned bright and quickly. And then because I think that was a misalignment of expectations. Really, it kind of fell apart and the relationship suffered a bit for that. So yeah, I would say probably like theater is the most active collaboration, but also kind of everything. Like anytime you're working with another person is a type of collaboration in my mind.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because with theater, I think people assume that like artists, theater people like wouldn't be organized or they wouldn't be like able to get it together. But I'm just like, no one's more organized than theater people. This show is going to open. I mean, yeah, but it depends on your role. As a part, like when like opening night is here, even if the show is a mess the day before, you're going to do everybody's going to do everything they can to like make it work in that timeline. It may be messy and it may be like last minute. And sometimes you're just like, how did that even come together when the curtain goes up? But that has to kind of like having some of those harder deadlines when you know that something is like about to go out into the world. I think that in some ways gets you beyond some of the static and nonsense that business owners could potentially have in their collaborations, because you can always push a launch date.
Right.
Like the site is not going to publish itself. And I think that it like allows people to drag things on, to procrastinate. Like there's a different energy when there's an audience in their seats about to watch whatever you've got.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that sense is like this idea, the sense of we're all in this together. And every person who touches it, like the success of what the audience sees reflects on every single person who touches it. I mean, especially the people who are literally on stage, but everyone is a part of what is presented. So there's a lot of buy-in from everyone, which I think that can be a little bit trickier to navigate in business if you're not having these conversations up front and like assessing whether there's true buy-in from the other person and true ownership as well. Like I think that's what you flagged earlier with your podcast. Like it sounds like there was buy-in, but they were not equally taking ownership of the success. It was sort of like deferring to you as the leader. And that dynamic can work as long as both parties are explicit about it and go in knowing that that's and like agreeing to that.
Yeah. 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 Because in my mind, I was like, ooh, you're doing something cool. I want to share it. I want to talk about it. But like, I didn't say the part where, and also you can share what we talk about and people will maybe like find the pod, like listen to the pod, maybe just have other people, listen to this conversation where I'm helping you share what you're doing.
Right.
Yeah. Like, so to me, it was like such common sense. And to them, it was just like, oh, I thought I was going to get 10 sales immediately from being on your show.
Uh-huh.
And some people did, and they still didn't share it and they still didn't, thank me for it. And I was like, oh, I am resentful because of my own expectations in my head that I didn't say out loud, that I didn't ask the other person to agree to or see what they thought about it or share their ideas about it. And like, it's totally like, not to be like, oh, it's all my fault, but like, it's totally on me because these were not necessarily all people who had businesses and understood that they had to market. They were just like,
right.
It was the like field of dreams. If you build it, they will come kind of mentality that a lot of people think is going to work in their
Right.
businesses and are very disappointed to find out that that was just a movie. Does not work in business.
I love that you said that and that you like took ownership of your side of the street on that. And I will also say something that I think my experience with you as a collaborator is you're like, I don't know if you're explicitly thinking about this or if it's just how you roll, but I think you're very thoughtful about what I'm getting out of it as well as what you're getting out of it, which I think that reflection is what makes for a really fantastic collaborator is if they're like both taking care of themselves, because then that will prevent resentment from building up, but also like thinking about the other person and being like, okay, what are they getting out of it? Which I feel like if any of the people who were on your podcast stop to think about, they might have acted a little bit differently and maybe shared the podcast a bit more if they were like, okay, what is Erin getting out of this? I mean, unless I'm sure they were, maybe they were brilliant and just their presence was a gift to you.
Listen,
but
I've had guests that were totally brilliant and were totally a gift. And I've had a lot of my clients on the show over the years. And like, that's always so fun because I don't really I don't really ask for testimonials. If people want to give me testimonials, I'll take them. But I just feel like weird about asking for them. Because it's not my client's job to do my marketing for me. But sometimes having folks on the podcast is like a spontaneous opening where they do talk about the work that we've done and they talk about what's been helpful. And I'm just like, well, that was like a nice and not cheesy, not salesy testimonial from somebody who is talking about their process. So it was still worth it to learn that lesson for all of the reasons. But I do think the number one insight I can offer somebody doing collaboration is like, sit down and say all the things that you think don't need to be said. Because that is where the stickiness comes. And like for you and I, when we talked about it, it was like, we just want to do something that's fun and doesn't feel like another stuffy business thing. Like,
yes.
And you were like, me too. We are not worrying about perfection. We don't have theme music. We don't even introduce what number of the podcast we're on. Like it is so freewheeling, but it's like, it's fun and it's creative and I never know what's going to come up. And that to me is like, that's what I get from this. I get to talk to you, which is so fun, but like, I always learn something and I'm always surprised by what comes out, even with mocktails.
Yeah, even with mocktails. I totally agree. I think I'm thinking of how this started, and it was something we like initially were just like joking about when we met in person for the first time, and we were getting like happy hour drinks with some colleagues. And then we messaged each other a couple of times about it, and we're like, should we actually do this? So it started out in a very casual way, but I do think I believe, and I'm not perfect, so I might not have, but I believe like I was very upfront of like, okay, I want this to be kind of an anti-perfectionist endeavor. So like, I don't really care about a lot of the things that maybe like you're supposed to care about when you launch a podcast. If we need to skip a couple of weeks, that's totally fine. Like for me, my number one priority with this is that it's like fun and feels good for us and that we do it as long as that's the case. And I stated that up front, and I think you did as well. So we had those types of conversations where they weren't like formal business meetings necessarily.
There's
no contract, which I mean, you can decide. Like in some cases, a contract is great.
Yes,
but I think when we talk about communicating about these things, sometimes people's mind might go to, oh, I have to be like very serious and very cautious and like come in a reserved way and make sure that we're like in alignment on everything and have like a 10-point plan.
Yeah.
You can do it in a very casual way. It's just like having open communication and also checking in, on how things are going as you continue.
Yeah. And I mean, it does not have to be formal. And to your point, sometimes it's great for it to be formal, especially I think maybe even sometimes like the more personal the relationship, I think sometimes the more formal you might want it to be. I've coached so many people who work with family, and I work with family, so I have opinions on this. But when something does kind of go sideways, or when you think, okay, this person's not fulfilling their expectation, it's so much less of a like emotionally jarring conversation to have if you can point to their like expectation chart that you guys devised together, and you could say, okay, so your expectation in this project was that you and I agreed that you were going to do this. How do you think you're doing with that? And they can tell you, like, you can find out if they're delusional and they think they're doing great, and you're like, actually, you haven't done this at all. Like you can have that conversation, but it's laid out with, I don't want to say like facts, but it's laid out with like the expectations you both agreed on. And you can talk about like, here's what you said. I don't feel like this is being met. What do we need to do about that? Rather than like, you never do anything I say you promised you would, and it like becomes all dramatic, and it's like just becomes this thing that like permeates your weekends and every dinner you have with this person. Like I think the closer the relationship, sometimes the more formal you might want the agreement to be, just so that you have something to reference that allows you to take it out of the personal relationship when and if things get hard or weird or change.